Alrighty, hello there. This is Gauntlet, and as you may know, I'm working on a mod called Gauntlet's Race Mod, where we will be adding numerous other races to the game Galactic Civilizations 3. You can see them here on my little load screen here. Quite a few in the works, so looking forward to showing those off later. But today we're going to focus on the Fulgar, these cute, adorable little reptile rodent thingy-majigs. Basically, I imagine that's what a Jawa looks like underneath its cloak, so that could be fun. So, without further ado, let us load up and take a look at the ship sets for these guys. Also, as a tradition for being done making a ship set, I am now going to take a shot, some bourbon to lively up the video. Alright, here we go. So, we got a lot of ships here, a full ship set of Galactic Civilizations is a lot of work. Some of the designs are definitely get a little repetitive and are really tweaks, but there's a lot here. There is a lot here. So, first up, tiny ship hulls. We always make a probe. So this probe has a nice little rotating radar dish. It floats up and down. And it has a few of the sort of signatures that you're going to see throughout this set, such as this rounded sort of engine piece with the little extra light coming out. Always going to have little antenna poles sticking straight up, no angles for that. And of course, you're also going to see this little glowy circular piece coming out of a lot of the hulls. So it's important when making a ship style to have a couple of rules that you always try to apply to your ships, but then not get too stubborn and too dogmatic about it. Alright, so that's one. That's your little probe. Super tiny on the screen. Then we have the fighter. Also a tiny hull, but this one's meant for combat. I love this fighter. I think it's very Art Deco or 1950s car-like. Reminds me of a Mustang. You've got this little engine piece I put in here sticking up just a teensy bit to give you some nice detail, but yeah, love this. Very shiny, very smooth. And we're going to use this as the basic fighter, but that's definitely an energy weapon platform right there. We did end up making a couple other fighters in a different design. This one, really a kinetic fighter. Those are cannons. Interesting alteration to the engines. I like it. I'm not super in love with it. It was definitely done as an afterthought just to flesh out the ship set, but it's pretty good. It's nice. And then a variant of that simply flips the platform array and gives it some missiles. So we do have one tiny hull for each weapon type. But in general, you'll see a lot of the main fighter there, because that one's definitely the best. Alright, moving forward, we have small hulls. Basically a heavy fighter or a corvette, whatever you want to call it. Again, rounded engine pieces. Again, little detail bits. Nice energy weapons up the front. Yeah. Moving on, we got a couple of variants. Here's a kinetic variant, just two big cannons. And here is a missile variant. Now the missile variant, this one's no longer using that little missile pod you saw. We're only going to use that on the tiny one. This one uses these big arrays I made. I'm thinking these are big torpedoes. We got them coming in and out to try and represent the fact that they're going to shoot out at targets. And it also has these sort of interesting propped up things on the hull there, which are, you could say, are other missiles, but I'm thinking they're like countermeasures or something. But yeah, love it. Love this one. Then we've got, to wrap up, a small model that is for scouting ahead. So this one has a rotating radar dish. It's got sort of a sensor front with a little detail there. And it also has two docking ports for probes. So the idea here is that it's got its own little set of probes that it maintains and scouts ahead. So we got one in flight attached to this model, and of course it's missing from here, and then another one docked. Alright, that is it for the smalls, except for a wing. I always make a wing of fighters as a small model. When in doubt, I will use this. So, just three of them paired together, all as one model. Alright, moving on, let's go to mediums. For this medium, this is your survey ship. So big old radar dishes. No surprises there. Had a lot of fun with this. This was the original model I started working on to start this set and give a sort of style. I almost never do wings, so this is my only set really that has wings to date. Yeah, a lot of fun. Okay, getting a little bit more useful. This one is your main combat destroyer, medium class. So here is where we have our first sort of turret design. Again, trying to be a mix of blockiness and Art Deco-ness, so you've got some tail fins on the turret and some interesting stuff going on there. You also have big kinetic guns attached to this top hull here. So that's nice, sort of static, but yeah, I like them. Okay. Then we take that hull, modified it pretty significantly, kind of shortened it up, added this big array. So this is your first missile boat, medium missile craft. So again, we use that torpedo section I designed for the small craft here. I really like the fact that I've got these on an angle coming out at the top here, and it kind of gives it sort of a mortar-like feel. And yeah, definitely would not want to have that big a missile heading towards me. So that's been good. And then we've got one more for the medium. This one's kinetic, purely kinetic driven, so a shortened hull again, with just big kinetic guns kind of put in here and there. So it works. Not super creative. The wings vary a little bit between the different models, so that's nice. Alright, we're going to skip large for a second here. We're going to go to cargo. Alright, here's your main cargo hull. Going to use this for freighters, colonizers, and anything else you could think of. You could put sensors on it and maybe a survey module. It kind of has like a little exploration look to it, I think. It was nice mixing and matching square parts and round parts. This was one of the earlier things I did in this series, so this set the tone for a lot of the other vessels. Okay, you've got a constructor, same exact model, just throw on some construction modules. Then you've got a drone carrier. So this carrier, I love depicting the actual fighters on the carrier. This is definitely the best fighter model of the batch, so this is the one we're using for all the carriers. Got one flying, got 4 docked here. This is kind of a mistake, actually. I try to leave one of the docks empty so that you can clearly see that one of them is flying around and what have you, but that's okay. We got 2 radar dishes on this one, so good to go. Alright, and then, and this is really cool, this is a transport. Using the same hull, but we added some big transport pods and some wings, and who the heck cares? Look what is that? What is going on? I love this thing. These are the hex objects you can find in the editor. I made them thicker, smaller in an array, and animated them spinning, and it is just awesome. They are actually scaling up and down, not moving, which helps with the glow. It's very, very glowy in-game. You can barely tell they're hexes if you're looking straight up, and I kind of wanted that old school kind of 1950s animation you might have in like an old cartoon of like a radar dish or something going off, and I think it just worked beautifully. What's it doing? It is propelling this large rock. Many of my transports, when I design, are going to have big rocks either attached or docked or whatever, basically because I argue that these transports can't possibly carry enough people to conquer a planet by hand. So instead, you drop rocks on people, and that should urge them to surrender. So while there might be troops in these ships as well, I'm thinking that mostly they're special forces and then bombardment specialists. So yeah, super happy with how that came out. The wings are the most prominent in this model compared to any others. You want transports to really stand out because they're such a threat in the game. If you see an enemy transport, you need to know. You need to notice enemy transports and take them out. So I wanted this to stand out, and I think between the glowy bit and the rock and the wings, it definitely does. Okay, so that's cargoes. So now we can move on to large. Alright, let's see here. Starting off we have sort of a battleship. This is an interesting design, if only because it has 2 command centers. I almost never do something like that. You know, maybe I'll call it the Janus for the two-faced god of the Romans or something. That could be neat. We've got a line of turrets going across. You know, you got 8 turrets there, plus 2 on the sides, plus some kinetic modules straight facing. This one's very industrial looking. It's not as Art Deco as some of the others, which is fine. I think it's good to have a few different styles playing off each other within a single ship set, but you don't want things to lack a theme. We did reuse this model a few times. Here's a carrier. Just replaced the turrets with fighters, really. Got rid of the kinetic weapons. Got rid of one of the command decks and replaced it with sensor systems. And that seems to have worked out nicely. Man, and I forgot to take off 2 fighters on this one too. I'm getting sloppy. Okay, so that's your carrier. In ship def file in Galactic Civ, you will find that the AI uses large hulls for support craft, for tactical modules and beam assistance. So you do want a large ship that's really meant for just support and isn't really armed, which is interesting. So here you go. Here's one, and it's got a bit of sensor arrays. I gave it 1 hull, but centered it, made it symmetric, and just kind of put these weird sensory bits all over. So yeah, I think it works. My favorite part about it, though, is these wings being up in the front here. Makes it very different from its colleagues. Okay. Then we have one in a different style. And this is a torpedo boat. A big torpedo boat. We return to some smoother angles here and some more wings. We're getting away from that industrial look now. So this one's definitely in a different style. This one's got just these lines of torpedoes kind of angled up, so you can see them really prominently from above, which is nice. And we got 2 in the front here. Really, really a fun ship to make. I really like the mixture of elements here. And he's got a bigger brother, because we can now move on to huge. And here, let's see here. Yep, here's his bigger brother. I actually made Big Brother first. He has a double array of those torpedoes on both sides. It is just, it's a lot. So you can kind of imagine just dozens of torpedoes rippling forward and flying towards the enemy from all angles here. You got a front array as well, as well as a few energy turrets just to round them out. So this is just a great dreadnought. The engine format here is nice, angling down instead of up like some of the others. You get this kind of S-curve profile, but not too extreme, which is nice. Yeah, very, very happy with this ship. I think this is my favorite ship out of the set. Okay, then we have a more traditional dreadnought with just turrets and kinetic weapons. So this really is pretty simple. Got a few wing things going on. It keeps to the style, but yeah, it's not super crazy impressive or anything like that. Alright, and then finally we have the last one, a huge carrier. Follows the same sort of design as the missile boat, only we widened out these round pieces here to fit in fighters. So as you can see, we've got all the fighters docked inside, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 on one side, I think. Yep. So 14 fighters on this, which is nice. And to switch things up a little bit, we also added this weird sort of communication array. This piece here with the rounded angles, you'll see that on the very first model for the destroyers, for the medium hulls. So reuse that, trying to keep some similarities between the designs. This dish mechanism was really fun. It actually uses 3 or 4 radar dishes to make it all work. And yeah, there you go. So that's your huge carrier. Okay, so that's the individual ships. We got a couple of fleets over here just to see how they all look together at the same time. So you've got, a couple of smalls, more smalls technically, but I love doing that. Love having 3 to 1. It really shapes up the numbers. I have a few sets where I even put multiple medium classes as large. That's fun, just to give your race the feel of swarm, as opposed to just individual ships all the time. But yeah, I think this this set really came together, especially at the end when I started adding these larger, smoother design ships, which really help tie in with the smaller ships. These intermediary ones with the industrial look are nice to give some variety, but they're just not as cool. They're just not as cool as these big missile boats. So yeah, there you go. That's one fleet. Got another one. Again, same sort of thing. A lot of smalls in here. Oh, and a drone carrier way the heck in the back. And the big missile boat again. So that's been fun. I test everything. So here are them in orbit, just kind of flying around. They do all right. They do just fine. Again, 3 little swarms moving together. It's really a nice effect. You're going to see that a lot from me. Oh, and finally, I try to make a orbital station for each set I make. Now, this is technically a cargo hull. There's a lot of controversy right now about sensors and cargo hulls and whether or not you should make a giant sensor boat that can see half the map. I totally do it. I love the concept. Wouldn't mind it being more balanced, but I love the concept of a ship that really is just mostly stationary and is meant to just scan the surrounding area. This one was a lot of fun. The Fulgar are really meant to be kind of scavengers and traders, so we've got this sort of area here where they're just salvaging some wreckage. It's got a little fighter bays, little outpost communication, and a dock with a whole cargo hull, just docking, delivering supplies. So yeah, a lot of fun to work on asteroid bases like this. Yep, there we go. Okay, well, thank you very much for watching. This is the first ship set to be fully completed, so congrats to me, hooray! And you'll be seeing at least 8 more of these, as well as numerous portraits and add-ons and things with the Gauntlet race mod. It will generally seek not to change gameplay per se, just to add a lot more variety to your races and your ships. Thank you so much, and have a great day, everybody.